Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh man, how happy I am to be with you guys here today on a Thursday. It's finally Thursday. I've been thinking it's Wednesday and Thursday and everything all week, but today I know it's Thursday. I know it's Thursday because Blake is wearing a hat with a big T on it, and I know what that T means. It means it is a Thursday, right, Blake? That has to be what that hat's about.
That's exactly what it means, and it means the Rangers are World Series champions.
All right. Well, here's the thing. So, all right. So let's talk about it off the bat because I feel like, I mean,
that was a nice pun, by the way.
It was a good. Okay, right. It was a. I actually watched the game. I watched some of it.
You did.
And I thought it was actually a kind of fun game. I thought that.
Oh, it was a hell of a game.
I mean, at the end, it's just like, dude, I didn't even know he played for the Rangers and stuff. I remember him being an Oakland A for the longest time. And I realized, man, we don't talk about baseball here on the show. We don't really talk about basketball or any of these others. But, dude, as I looked at Twitter or X, and as like my wife is grew up in Dallas, and she was kind of glued to the TV, sort of getting back into it, reliving her fandom as being a kid. She couldn't believe it that the Rangers were about to get this done. I got buddies texting and group texting, and I realized, all right, well, this is kind of a big deal that we didn't even talk about once on the show. We didn't even talk about it. So I figured it's probably only fair. You just give your overview. What does it feel like? Does it feel like it felt when Texas won a national championship? Like, is it quite like that? What's the feeling today?
It's pretty incredible, man. It took everything I had to hold back sports tears last night when they won. It was like, hey, the thing is, growing up, I'm like 12, 13 years old, and they go to the World Series. First time they get blown out by the Giants. The Giants were a great team. The next year, they're one strike at this 2011. They're one strike away from winning it twice. And David Freese hits one past Nelson Cruz, and they end up losing that. And that was just so devastating for everyone in the Metroplex.
Well, how close were they that time?
One strike
away from winning it all.
One strike away twice.
Oh God!
From winning the whole thing in Game 6, and then they lose Game 6, and then they lose in Game 7. So that has been looming over the Rangers fan base for the last decade. It's just like living with that has sucked. So that's why this was so special. So special that they did this.
Do they have the parade scheduled yet?
Yeah, parade is tomorrow at 1, I believe.
Oh, you couldn't ask for better weather for a parade.
Yeah, Arlington ISD is already shut down. They said they're no school tomorrow.
That's good, man. That's good. Well, congrats to your Rangers, brother. Congrats to everybody out there that's the Rangers fans. I mean, I wish we would have given it more, oxygen and more time to kind of talk about it. But man, it's like I don't know what's going on. I wouldn't even know what to tell you. Like I said, I wasn't even sure. Marcus. I would have told you that Marcus Semien still played for Oakland. So,
Whoa, super chat, Money B,
$20 in order of the Rangers talk. It's a good day, Blake. Okay, I've seen the Cowboys, Stars, UT Mavs, Rangers win championships in my lifetime. It is indeed fun as hell. Hey, baseball with friends.
Baseball with friends.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely fun as hell. Money B, thank you so much, brother. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it and how much we appreciate seeing everybody here in the chat. Cody Carpentier, Craig Simlinger, Darwin Lemon. Oh, gosh. Gringo Horn 65. Of course, the aforementioned Money B, Eric Alvarez, Peyton Ross, Cameron Parker, Colby S., Tyler Finley, all the regulars, man. Blake May. We got Sandman up in here. Who wins tonight? TCU or Texas Tech? Well, we're going to talk about it. We're definitely going to fill out a prize picks entry about it. Absolutely. I got a loaded show today, guys.
We got a streak going, sure. Alex, don't we?
What?
We have a streak, a prize picks streak.
Oh, a prize picks
streak. 1 in a row.
Check it out. 1 in a row last night, right? I hope you guys, after all the fades, right? After all the fades that you've made of me, you just decided to just randomly get on board last night when we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We weren't even sure what was going on with this Ball State quarterback. And we just said, let's just pick the ones that make no sense, right? Let's go ahead and pick those. And so when you get a look at what happened, we remember it was a $20 bet, my entries, past entries right here. Look at it, all green. They all hit. $20 turned into 200, just like that. So basically, that makes up for about 10 of these bad ones that I've done, and probably 2 bad ones that'll get done tonight. Whenever we talk about Tennessee Titans, Pittsburgh Steelers, when we talk about
and the Costanza play from a couple days ago was just one off too.
The Costanza from a couple of days ago, and what the Costanza means for people, I guess everybody probably knows, but what the Costanza means is just do the episode of Seinfeld where George Costanza just decided that everything was going so wrong in his life that he would just whatever his first instinct was, he would just do the opposite. And it turned out he was living his best life. I mean, some girl, there was some girl in the diner that they all, hung out at. I forgot what it was, where Jerry and Elaine and George always hung out. And he would never, ever, ever go and just randomly start walking up and start talking to this girl, right? And he goes up and starts talking to her, and she's like, oh, like blah blah blah, and she's like, where do you live? And she's acting like she's kind of into him, and he's like, I live at home with my parents. And she's like, oh, I love it. It's just like everything went so great for him. Okay, man. Yeah, Colby S didn't tail yesterday. Of course you didn't tail. You shouldn't have tailed. I would have told you never, ever, ever tail. But yeah, Money B saying he needs some winners today. I'm telling you, I do think that Tyjae Spears play is good tonight. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about it. Tyler Finley says, with all the buys this week, I've got to play Derrick Henry tonight. So hoping it goes off. Dude, it's the 11th best matchup of the week if you look at the roster watch matchup tool. So I think that something could get going there with that. And when we talk about these matchups, there's been so much made about the Kansas State defense, right? And the Kansas State run defense. Blake, what is the title of the show today?
It was what you sent.
Okay, something about
Sarkeesian and how good is the Kansas State run defense?
How good is it? Have you come to find out how good they are? My gosh. We're going to talk about that, how good they are. Sark had his Thursday availability today. A bunch of stuff to kind of ring out of that. I'll tell you one thing. I'm not saying I told you so. I'm just saying I told you so. Sark was asked who's improved the most on the whole team this year, and he listed 3 guys. I think if you watch this show, you're going to know the 3 that he talked about, but I'm not saying. I'm just saying we're going to get to that.
Spoiler: CJ Baxter, right? That's Sark's guy.
Not quite. Let's see. Circa Millions. The Circa Millions lines came out today for the NFL. We'll talk about that. Christian Jones with an interesting question to the media in his availability that I didn't hear anybody talk about from Monday that I saw today on the Twitters. Of course, we'll take your questions. Okay, so if you guys have questions in chat, we've gotten to the point now in the week where I've done my work on the team. We've talked to you guys about everything that we've taken away from the deep dig, everything we've done with scouting the next opponent. We're gonna have some more information about the next opponent here. We're gonna get through it all. But before we get to final takes tomorrow, this is the time where you ask your questions, man. If you want to put them in super chat, put them in super chat. If you just want to ask them in the chat, ask them, and we'll get to them. Of course, the show wouldn't be the show without you guys and without your feedback and your inputs. Your feedback and your input and your inputs, I guess.
Sure.
Because I guess technically they are like because inputs are like items that go into a final product.
Yeah.
Right. So we can do that. I also have a note here to remind you of merch. Right. We do have merch.
We do indeed.
Blake will put a link to that in the oh yeah. So there it is right there. There's a QR code. I was actually, dude, let me ask you guys this, and then we get into this Kansas State run defense stuff. Okay. Am I allowed to wear around my football with friends hat? It looks awesome. I really wanted to wear it today. I took it off. I'm like, man, that feels kind of like when I used to be in a band. Like I would, it was always the worst thing to wear around your own band's t-shirt, right? It's like to wear around your own band's merch. It felt real lame.
I don't think this is the same. I think you can wear it. Yeah. I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah,
especially when it's cool merch.
It's cool, man. I love
Chad Hastings keeps thinking it's a wrestling logo. It looks like.
Well, we get in here and we wrestle with all kinds of ideas. We wrestle with our existential angst about this team. Also, the best national parks. So if you guys have a favorite national park, I'd like to hear. I've not been to too many. Robert Kemp says Yellowstone National Park, right? Okay. Text guy says, if not who should wear? I don't know. You? I don't know. I come from spending a decade in a touring rock band where we had all this cool merch, and the rule was like no one in the band can wear the merch. Man, it's like, you're not supposed to do it. Maybe I'm just,
No, you don't really wear Texas gear because you're in the media, but you can wear orange football with friends gear if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay. We have the Orange Plus happy hour tomorrow. If I'm able to make it out, maybe I'll wear it to that thing. Yeah. Oh gosh. The Blake May says the Crater Lake National Park. My parents went to that before. That thing does look amazing. And that's a big lake that's made out of a crater.
Where is that?
I think it's out by It's out by Utah or maybe up close to Washington or Oregon. It's out there in the West somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe Oregon. Bend, Oregon. Okay. Big Bend is what Darwin Lemon's saying.
Yeah, Big Bend.
Okay. So Big Bend, I've always do you know what the thing is about Big Bend and out there by like Terlingua, Texas and stuff like that? It's like the only part of Texas where you can still get property for like kind of cheap.
Yeah.
You can get like stuff that backs right onto the park and get like 100 acres for like $30,000. And then, so you have access to the private and the attached public. I don't know if there's, for one, it takes like 8 hours to get out there. So it'd be hard to get out there and fill the feeders and stuff. And I also don't know if they have like whitetail deer and stuff. It might only be mule deer and stuff out there. Maybe somebody else knows.
It's a good question.
Anyway, they certainly have bears. Certainly have snakes.
Definitely snakes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Look, I feel snaky about this Kansas State run defense, right? And so, Blake, do you still have that thing? Do you still have that thing that you can pull up with the different numbers, or was that Anwar's thing?
Sure, from Anwar. Yeah, give me a second. I can pull that up.
Yeah. Because I wanted to look at the run D specifically and just see kind of where this narrative's coming from, because I dug a little bit deeper and I looked at who they've played, what they've done, what they've allowed, and what. All right, so yeah, so if you can see it on your screen, can you just read out some of the key metrics there?
Here, I can make it bigger for y'all too. Let me switch this around. Do this. I think that's the biggest we can make it. Okay.
Okay, so I can actually see some of these. Okay, so Texas leads the way, right? Giving up an average of 3.24 per carry, 5 touchdowns, an average of 97.66 yards per game. Okay, Kansas State in second place at 109.38. Golly, look at UCF and Baylor and Kansas and stuff.
Terrible. Can I zoom this in? Oh no,
Oklahoma State's no good at this. I guess that's probably not it's probably not going to be the worst matchup for Oklahoma this week, considering that Oklahoma doesn't really
4.48.
Oklahoma doesn't really, they don't pride themselves on their ability to run the ball with their traditional running backs. Although ever since they switched to Homeboy instead of Marcus Major, they've been doing a lot better, I think. Texas was lucky that they got a big dose of Major and not the guy that they've been, not the guy that they've been going against. So if you just look at it, so the Kansas State run D, so their first game of the season, it was against Southeastern Missouri State. Okay, so the leading rusher in that game was some dude named Darrell Smith. All right, he rushed for 18 yards. He was the team's leading rusher, 18 yards on the ground. Okay. On the season, though, versus miserable opponents. And let me just pull up a Southeastern Missouri State schedule, because I looked at this earlier and I couldn't believe this. Let's see. So the stats, what is it? How can I find their schedule? All right. So here's the cumulative stats. So I can just look at the game by game stuff. Okay. So they started out the season at Kansas State. They lost 0-45. Then after that, they played versus Lindenwood. Okay. Then they played Southern Illinois. Then they played Eastern Kentucky. Then they played Central Arkansas. Then they played Eastern Illinois. Then they played Tennessee Tech. And then they played Nichols. Blake, if you asked me where Lindenwood is located, I couldn't tell you.
I have no idea where Lindenwood is.
Where Nichols is. It's just like, it was when I was at the Senior Bowl that one time, and we saw Donald Parham Jr. there. He's playing. He played a long time in the USFL. Now he's kind of getting some work with the Los Angeles Chargers. And I just remember he was the big tall kid from Stetson, right? and we go to the bar after the game. And we're talking about it, and we're gabbing with friends and talking about the practices and stuff. And we're like, "What about the Parham kid from Stetson?" And we're like, "Stetson." We're like, "Hold on, Stetson?
I just think of hats.
Where exactly that? We said, where is that?" And we took bets about me and my buddy Byron, who started Roster Watch with me. We took a bet about who could be closer if we just guessed like the city and the location and stuff. And both of us did guess sight unseen. We couldn't look at our iPhones or whatever. We both did guess like Wyoming and Montana and stuff like that because we thought about cowboy hats. It turns out Stetson's in like Jacksonville, Florida. But so yeah, but I would never even know where these schools are. Here, I'm going to get back around to the Kansas State defense with this. The point is, Southeastern Missouri State stinks. Then they don't play versus good teams. This dude Daryl Smith rushed for 18 yards. He was the team's leading rusher in that game. Right, so they held a dude to 8. They held one team's leading rusher to 18 yards to start the season. Now, through the rest of the schedule so far, apparently this dude, I guess, he's still playing because he's registering stats in these games. But the most he's averaging 15.75 yards per game. Oh. So he's obvious, and there have been guys who are getting more work than him. So he's been overtaken by somebody else. This is a bad runner on a bad team that's played a bad schedule that can't even crack the top of the leaderboard for his own team as far as rushing. So that's Southeastern Missouri State. That's the number one bullet, the first bullet on Kansas State's run defensive resume. All right, now let's go to Troy in the second game. They have this dude who actually I went and watched him. He looks kind of good to me. Kamani Vidal. He's 5'8", 215, put together pretty well. Looks kind of fast. He had 17 carries and 83 yards in that game for a 4.9 yards per carry. Ever since, he's been averaging 124.25 yards per game, 5.8 yards per carry. And these games that they've played, Troy doesn't play. They play better teams than Nichols and Lewiston State or what Lindenwood, whatever. I forgot what those teams even were. But he plays the James Madisons of the world and the SFA Lumberjacks and Georgia State, He's probably gonna have a game pretty soon against Ball State and that creepy quarterback that we took the under on of the under 108 passing yards last game, right? Western Kentucky was one of the big games, besides Kansas State so far. That's the level of competition that they played so far. And we're talking about a difference in 124.25 yards per game versus 83 yards per game. But most importantly, on the yards per carry, 4.9 in that game versus KSU that they gave up to him versus 5.8 in all the rest of these games versus bad teams. Okay. That's the second thing on their resume. I don't know if that to you point that they held Kamani Vidal, who's averaging 124.25 points or yards per game, 5.8 yards per carry, that they held him to only 4.9 yards per carry. I'm not sure that seems like a giant feather in their cap. Okay. Next game, Mizzou. Cody Schrader was their leading rusher. He had 10 for 58 in the game. So that's 5.8 per carry. Since he's been averaging 100.8 yards per game with the exact 5.8 yards per carry. So now clearly Missouri, I'd have to look at their schedule and see. I would assume that Missouri's probably played better competition than all these. I mean, Missouri's played an SEC schedule, right, for the most part. I'll just look and see Missouri schedule this season. They probably had a cupcake or two, but I'd imagine it's going to be a respectable schedule. Missouri schedule 2023.
Well, Mizzou has Georgia this week, right?
I'm about to find out. So they played South Dakota, So they played South Dakota. They played Middle Tennessee State, where that was actually, dude, they only beat Middle Tennessee State 23-19. Gosh. Kansas State, they won 30-27, and they played Memphis with a 34-27 win, and they played Vanderbilt 38-21. So LSU, Kentucky, South Carolina, those have been the kind of good games, right? Only 3 of these games have been versus good teams. 4, I guess, if you count Kansas State. 4 out of the first 8. And so that guy against actually not even the best SEC competition, but decent enough, especially the last 3. He's averaging since that game 100.8 yards per game, but the exact same 5.8 yards per carry. So Kansas State held there wasn't any difference. Like his yards per carry was not depressed versus Kansas State versus against the rest of the schedule, where 4 out of 8 of them were complete cupcakes. All right, I'm not sure that that's a feather in the KSU defense's cap. All right, UCF, this dude Johnny Richardson, who looks like he's a slasher. He was their leading rusher with 76 yards on just six rushing attempts in that game. So that was a 12.7 yards per carry. He's been averaging less than that per game, less than KSU gave up per game since then. 61.6 yards per game versus 76 yards per game, and 7.3 yards per carry, which is clearly good, but it's not the 12.7 yards per carry that Kansas State gave up to this guy. And that's UCF. Okay. So now we've gone through Southeastern Missouri with Darryl Smith, who stinks, whose competition stinks. Troy with Kamani Vidal, who held him to maybe 18% less of what he normally does from a yards per carry basis. Missouri with Cody Schrader, that was exactly the same as what everybody else has done. UCF with Johnny Richardson, that had basically 5 more yards per carry than what everybody else has done against him. Then we get to Oak State. Ollie Gordon was 21 for 136 in that game. So this is the first time that they face a good running back, right? Somebody that you can say, okay, this is a volume running back, somebody you would worry about. You know what I mean? That was, what did I say it was? I just had it pulled up. Okay, 21 for 136, 6.5 yards per carry in that game. Since then, on the season, he's averaging 135.8 yards per game, so almost exactly the same yards per game, 135.8 versus 136. The yards per carry on the season is at 7.7. So his yards per carry was deflated by 1.2 yards per carry versus Kansas State. So clearly 6.5 yards per carry is going to get it done regardless. You're going to get your running game going regardless.
I'm looking at these box scores, Alex. These teams are cranking off some big runs too. It's not just like continually, like I'm seeing UCF game. There was a rush for Johnny Richardson. Johnny Richardson had one for 48.
Well, that means he had 6
Missouri game. He had one for 36.
Yep.
In the Troy game, Vidal had one for 46. Like, we're seeing some big runs. You can gash this team in the run game.
Taj Brooks for Texas Tech, who's playing tonight. You'll see he's a good running back if you haven't watched him this year. So he went 17 for 98. That's 5.8 yards per carry. He's averaging this year. So he went 98 against KSU. He's averaging 111 per game, which is just 5.5 per carry. So they actually gave up more per carry versus Taj Brooks than you'd expect from the competition that Tech has played this year. And we know that Tech has not played the best. I mean, they've played some bad teams. They've played teams that Tech can actually beat. Okay. TCU, it was the Amani Bailey. He went 12 for 100. So that's 8.33 per carry. He's averaging, in that game, went for 100 yards. He's averaging 106 per game, and he's averaging 5.8 yards per carry. So that was elevated to him. And then versus U of H, it was Parker Jenkins. You remember from the Texas game, they allowed him 12 for 56 yards, 4.7 per carry. He's been averaging 40.13 per game, which is 4.7 per carry. So his per carry was the same versus KSU as it's been for everybody else. And Texas held him to 28 points, or to 28 yards. So look, you guys tell me, is that a murderer's row? Is that a murderous row? Is that a murderer's row? Those are bad. Those are kind of bad running backs that have done a whole lot versus these guys. They haven't faced a Jay Brooks. I mean, all he's good. He's not a Jay Brooks. You don't have people talking about this guy like he's going to be, like he's some kind of lock to at least be at the Doak Walker Award ceremony. So as we continue to kind of think about this team, and we continue to, identify ways that Texas can possibly attack this team, we shouldn't be thinking that this is just some stalwart defense. They're about to get into the meat of their schedule, dude. They're about to get into the grinder. They're about to get Jay Brooks, dude. They're about to get these Longhorns, man. They're about to get an offensive line that struggled last week, but they struggled versus Rice, and the next game they were fine. And we can hope that, what Sarkin said today about a good week of practice, of course it's a good week. It's a physical week of practice. He's happy with the preparation. He's yada, yada, yada. I mean, that's going to be every week, but he seems to be pleased. with how the team looks, how the team feels, what's happening coming into this game. And if it's like, even if those guys can just if Connor and Majors can just play at a level to where just get 99 handled right there in the middle, just get him handled. Don't let him shoot up A gap. Don't let him screw this stuff up. Don't let him blow the plays. Don't let him ruin the cutback lane before it ever has a chance to develop. That's the only way that Texas is not going to be able to move bodies against these guys. I was looking at the deep dig today, just kind of looking at it. Like, I'd forgotten that DJ Campbell in one of these games scored like almost an 81. Like, he's been, I think he's had the best deep dig grade of the year. He's been awesome at just
consistently really good.
Just awesome at just moving people, right? Just really good at moving people. Christian Jones, down game last week, just good at moving people. Kelvin Banks, one of the best guys in free space that I've seen. Just times when he can just get out and get on linebackers or get on these wide kind of 9 defensive ends. The way that he can just get on them and not just get on them, but keep his hands inside, drive them, put them on their backs. These are guys who can move dudes. You get reasonable play out of those two guys, man. Number 65, number 76 to his left. They're going to be able to move these guys. This K-State run defense, it's a paper tiger, man. It's a paper tiger, and Texas is going to show them. We have a lot more to talk about next.
And Texas has played kind of an uneven brand of football at times over the course of the month of October. I got just honestly, like, I can't tell you the game that it's going to happen in, but if they don't start playing more like September brand of football and less like October brand of football, I think there's a possible loss in there for Texas. And, this is a major moment this is a crossroads moment for Steve Sarkeesian, because they are on the cusp of really having a great season. It's been a great start. Quite frankly, 7-1 at this point in the year, given how long it's been since they've been with that record, 8 games into the season, an absolute success. But if they fumble it away in these last 4 games, the only thing that people will remember is the fumbling away part. So it is imperative. I mentioned it a week ago. Steve Sarkeesian has to be at his best. It is one of the wild cards going into Saturdays. What do you get from this offense? What happens when Sarkeesian gets off the script? They're going to probably be really good in the first quarter. And I think one of the keys to this game is getting ahead early on Kansas State and making them play outside of their comfort zone. If Texas can go up 14-0, 14-3, 21-3, like they have each of the last 2 weeks, I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered. But Texas got to play better in the middle of these football games. 2 weeks in a row, they've essentially gone 40 minutes of game time with not good offense. They didn't score at all for 37 minutes of game time against Houston 2 weeks ago. And yesterday or Saturday, 40 minutes, I think it was like 40 minutes and 3 seconds or something like that. Slightly more than 40 minutes where Texas had one offensive possession that ended with a touchdown against a bad defense. They have to play better against Kansas State, or they can lose that game.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh yes, welcome back. Football with Friends is fun as hell. So happy to have you guys here in the Specs chat line. Always make sure to go to Specs for all of your needs. And we have Javier Rubio in the chat just stat checking me here about OG leads the nation in rushing. I was saying I don't hear people talk about him for the doke and stuff. Maybe it's but what does he have? And then the other thing is, if I thought maybe I could be wrong about this. Maybe Blake, you can tell me. Have they? I guess they've already had their bye. Have they already had it? Because I thought, and like you guys know, I don't chart the rushing yards and stuff like that. I chart some of the stats that are normal services and traditional services don't chart. But I thought when I was looking at the numbers on the per game that Jay Brooks was better than Ollie Gordon, but maybe that might have changed after last week.
These are the stats right here. So Ollie Gordon is tops in the nation at the moment.
But does it say how many games?
Let me see. I'm looking at their schedule. It looks like they had a bye between Iowa State and Kansas State.
Okay, fair enough. I guess the reason why you just don't hear as much talk about him is because I think he's a true sophomore, right? Wasn't he a freshman last year?
Yeah,
that's why he's not getting the same kind of buzz in my circles. Is because people just talk about the draft eligible guys, right? And I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Sophomore.
Okay, so Javier Rubio is saying he's at 800 yards. Okay, so this has escalated quickly with the whole Ollie Gordon thing. He's at 800 yards in 2 games. Okay, all right, I get it. No,
seriously?
I'm not. No, he's saying no. I'm not saying
not 800.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to hate on anybody. I was just trying to. I was trying to figure out where I might have been. But can you check and make sure?
282 followed by 271 in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, well that's how it happened. Oh my God, look at this.
That's pretty good, Alex.
Wow,
10.8 on 25 carries.
Okay, well, so that's how that whole thing happened. I should have been paying more attention. But he's a
Troy running back too.
He's a true sophomore, right?
Yes,
I'm telling you, man, the Vidal kid's good. He's a pretty good runner, but he plays like I told you the kind of teams that they play, right? You know,
right.
Yeah. Michael McSpadden only 550 in 2 games. Only 552 games. What a chump. Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. Let's see. Hold on. Cody says Brugler has him as the highest ranked RB on his big board, 0 RB in the top 50, but he put Brooks and Benson in his next 15 article. So he's put Brooks, right? Ollie Gordon's a true sophomore, right, Blake? Can you please look that up?
He's not. We need to talk about
it. What?
His ESPN profile says sophomore.
Okay, but true sophomore? If he's a redshirt sophomore, we need to be talking about him for draft stuff.
I'll keep looking to confirm.
Okay. I'm 99% sure. I'm 99% sure. But yeah. Anyway, KSU, Paper Tiger.
Yeah, class of 22.
Yep. What a good pickup. Sark had a lot to say today. Did I already do the spec stuff? It's wine, spirits, and finer foods, world-class service. It's all about you. Yeah, we said thanks to everyone in the specs chat line. Oh, it looks like we have a question here today. Super chat. Thank you so much, Jamari Lee. This is a good one. Jamari Lee, bringing the heat. This is great. Okay, and thank you so much for the super chat. $4.99. I feel like nobody's talking about the matchup of BB versus Sweat. BB's an All-American, no doubt, but he hasn't faced a DL as good as Sweat. Well, first of all, thanks for being here, Jamari Lee. We did talk about this matchup on Tuesday, I think.
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah. Look, number 50, the left guard, he's one of the biggest problems on the team. But from a matchup basis, I feel like the matchups that we've talked sort of most about was the KSU run defense versus Texas just as a whole, right? That I've now completely and thoroughly debunked with facts and logic. We've talked about the whole deal with Sark versus the 3-3-5. I put on the Coach Alex cap, shows you an easy little RPO you can draw up and how Sark can do a million different things off of one idiotic inside zone run left. Like there's literally a million things you can draw off of this thing. And even Chris Kleiman talked about it in his press conference on Tuesday, just saying last year we loaded up the box and all we did was we let them get these 12, 13, 14-yard pickups on us with these RPOs. We can't let it happen again this year. Now, I said yesterday I think that's bad. I think they'd be smart to load the box, at least try it at first.
Absolutely. That has to be the game plan.
Yeah.
Look,
I think it would be and what's his name? Her name Jamari Lee.
Jamari Lee, yeah.
Jamari spelled the way it was. It's kind of like a name like Alex, man. It's kind of or Kelly. Some like that could be a male or a female, I guess. And we're gonna get back to to get back to your question, but that was a matchup that we talked about, right? Just the whole thing versus the 3-3-5. We talked about the matchup with Jake Majors versus number 99. We've talked a lot about Uso Solomalo. When am I going to get better at pronouncing these names?
Never.
And to some degree, Hayden Connor, DJ Campbell versus him. Not so much about what he can do to affect the game, but what number 41 can do. And Blake, can you look up 41's name? Well, I can't just keep calling him 41. He's really good. He's a tackle for a loss machine whenever he's kept clean. That's a real feature of the 3-3-5 defense, is that protected Mike linebacker. But to have the protected
Austin
Mike
Moore.
Austin Moore. Yep. That dude, he's a leader of that team. Good player. If Majors is going to need to hold him up a little bit on his own, because these guys are going to need to climb second level and not let that guy come completely free, because that will mess up this stuff that we've talked about, attacking the seams with the zone run. He'll scrape and spill over the top and cause some trouble. And so those two things put together are the matchup problem that I identified. And the other one was definitely number 50. What do you do? And I don't necessarily think it's just Sweat that you need to be thinking about when you think about that matchup, because 50 is good. He doesn't look like much. He sure doesn't look like much. He looks kind of like, he looks pudgy to me. He looks stocky. He looks like one of these K-State guys, man. We talk about how these K-State guys are the Darren Sproles and the Deuce Vaughns and the kind of you can get these guys in the dented can bin. There's always something a little bit, like, what is that? What's that? What's that movie, Moneyball, where he says, like, they got that fat guy and he's in there with the manager, and he's like, well, this guy plays shortstop and he can steal bases and he's fast and he can do this, but his one flaw is that he can't hit a curveball to save his life, or something like that. It feels like Kansas State has a bunch of these dudes that turn out to be good players, but maybe just don't have they got one little thing that maybe they're not as highly recruited, as they should have been.
But they get on base, to use the Moneyball reference, right?
Right. This guy, he looks boxy, a little bit pudgy. He doesn't look buttoned up, and like Jim Nagy said when he talks about Banks, like pretty. I don't want to say pretty. I think it's kind of a weird thing to say, but like a lot of scouts say it. They just kind of look good to the eyes, like aesthetically pleasing. But man, dude, he can. Yeah, he's an SOB, man.
You would say
he is.
Would you say pretty, or would you?
I'm not sure I'd say pretty. I'm not sure I'd say pretty. He's a son of a gun, dude. He's a son of a gun, man. He's tough, dude. He's tough to deal with. If he gets his hands on you, you're in big trouble. But here's the thing. Tavondre Sweat's a unicorn. He's 365 pounds. He's got incredibly good feet. He has incredibly violent hands. He has the thing that we always talk about with Sweat is the problem that we would see in, Hassan Ridgeway even had this. Have we talked about the on-off switch disease? Right, the on-off switch disease. Mm-hmm. It's a deadly disease in defensive linemen. I hate to say it about Keandre Coburn. Keandre Coburn had it, where the motor just kind of wanes through games, right? To where last year with Coburn, I feel like the conditioning that he got and the stuff he was able to do after he got, into his NFL draft prep and stuff, his agency really, really worked with him on his conditioning. And like when I saw him at the combine, I'm like, oh man, Snacks, you look great, dude. But he was a little bit out of condition, and there would be the on-off switch, and his pad level was just bad in some of these games. Do you remember how it was in the second? It was a completely different team last year. It was a completely different defense in the second half of these games. You would just say, like, hold on, well, what? Well, why is Keandre Coburn getting driven 7 yards off the foot? Why is he standing? Why is this dude getting down in a 3-point stance and standing straight up and presenting all this surface area? What does he do? He's got a lot of surface area to present. What's he doing? Why is he doing it? Have you ever is that even? And I know you saw it. It doesn't take going back and watching 12 hours of the defense and watching 16 hours of the offense like I do every week and charting these guys. And, you know, it doesn't take it. You can see it just watching the game.
Call it temporary milk carton disease.
Blake, how do you watch football?
How do I watch football?
Yeah.
Now you're asking, like, do I watch the offensive line?
Where do your eyes go?
Oh, usually to the quarterback.
Or
That's just how I traditionally watch them.
Do they go to the football?
I mean, they follow the football, but I'm first looking at the quarterback and seeing where I think he's going to go with the football before anything.
I think most people watch the game of football, and I think that this has been, and I'd be interested to hear from Chet. What do you watch?
Michael, my business watches.
Like, do your eyes go with the ball? One of the best football books that I ever read was written by my friend Pat Kerwin, and he actually now he's a host on. He was a longtime NFL GM, and he's on SiriusXM. He does the show with Jim Miller, Moving the Chains, on SiriusXM NFL Radio. I see him. Okay, so guys are saying the lines. Colby S is saying the ball. The book's called Take Your Eye Off the Ball. That's the name of the book. I would recommend anybody that likes football to read this book. You learn a ton about the game of football. But in that book, he says that there's been actual studies about how people watch, and the vast majority of people just watch the ball. And even if you're somebody that just watches the ball, and it's a fine way to watch football, half the time I'll watch the ball unless there's something I'm hyper focused on. But even if you're just watching the ball, whenever the ball comes up through the line of scrimmage via a running back carry, via a running back toting the ball through the line of scrimmage, you're natural. Like even the most casual watcher was going to be able to see last year guys like Keandre Coburn, at times Moro Wajomo, who would just they would get their pad level wrong, they would get washed away. We saw that all the time last year. I know you guys remember it. When's the last time that you saw anything remotely like that out of T'Vondre Sweat? I'm being serious. You just don't see it. It's absurd to think about. Like Texas fans have been spoiled this year.
He's always there. He's always there.
Dude, he weighs 365 pounds.
He's not going anywhere.
He's a boulder. You can't move him. I can't believe it every time I say it. We talk about some of the biggest linemen in the NFL. Some of the guys are saying, "Oh my God, it's like moving the Great Wall of China. He weighs 340 pounds." It's like, whoa, oh God, 340 pounds. He should go on tour with the carnivals and the circus and be the world's freakiest man. 340? And T'Vondre Sweat moves like he does at 365. And Byron Murphy, sure, he's not that. But do you know what he is? Like a violent little menace and a root hog and a pit bull. Like, to talk like that, his pad level will never go up. He just won't. It's just not how he plays. It isn't in his DNA. He's an attacking, low man wins kind of player. I'm not worried about those two guys versus BB. It's not the kind of player that he's going to have an easy time pushing around. It's not the kind of player that he's going to, that kind of guy, shorter arms. It's like, if they try and kind of reach block on, try and get like a little bit of a reach on Sweat as a 3 technique, man, Sweat's got some long arms and just a big anchor of a body. He's saying that I saw Murphy get, hold on, wait. Javier Rubio saying you saw him get blown up well, I didn't see him get blown up by the safety on the goal line. I'll have to watch it back. But even if so, like you said, that's a whole different environment, right? That's a different way to come into engagement. That's a different whole different thing than what you do when you're down in a 3-point stance and you're firing into your competitor. Let's see. Linville, Joseph, and Aaron Donald are on the same defensive line with Barron, Sam Hubbard, Sorrell. I like that Hubbard thing for sure. And it's a little bit more of an Aaron Donald, right? Super, super, super buttoned up. I think Byron Murphy is one of these guys that probably goes to he goes to the beach and probably looks like a bodybuilder out there, kind of like Aaron Donald. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But so with those guys, I'm not worried. And then with the other thing is I'm not I'm not worried about Alfred Collins, not because Alfred Collins has been good this year, not because I think that he's a world beater, because he just isn't. Maybe he will be at the next level, and I know people are projecting him to kind of be at the next level, but he's still super big. What does Collins even weigh? I mean, Collins weighs. I mean, he has an 82 inch wingspan. He's a giant of a man. He's not going to be easy. He's not going to be as easy as some of these other guys to move. He weighs 320 pounds, 6'5", 320, 83 inch wingspan. I mean, it's like that's if you're Cody Beebe, yeah, you're great. You're a good player. You're much better. Look, let me say this now that Cody's in chat. Okay, for one, Cody, whenever we get to the offensive line rankings for this draft, I think you were right. Patrick Paul from U of H was better. Like when I compare him to the guy from BYU, their left tackle, who was that? 54? Was it 54 or was that the other guy that held all the time? BYU. Let me look at their roster. They all held all the time. But I think it's 54.
Everyone holds in the Big 12, and it's just never called. Have you noticed that?
Well, Texas holds.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone in the Big 12 holds, but the refs don't call it like at all.
So I don't think 54 is the one that's I don't think 54 is the one that's the NFL prospect. Is he? Could he be? No, he was the one that held all the time. Which one's the NFL prospect? Cody probably knows. But sure whenever maybe 78.
78 is more of a draftable number.
Whoever it was, man, he's not as good as the U of H guy. I don't think either of them is good as good as 50 for K-State. And we'll see how he holds up. I think it's probably gonna be. I mean, J.C. Latham and 50 from K-State, probably the best offensive lineman they faced this year. Would you say
78 was a preseason all Big 12 kind of guy, okay. Top 30 Big 12 players in 2023.
He's not very good.
Let me see.
He's not very good.
Kingsley Suamatia.
Yep. Kingsley. Yeah. So I like Patrick Paul better than Kingsley, and I think we'll see how they look, but I think Cody Beebe's better than either of those guys. Now, of course, Cody Beebe's only going to play guard or center at the next level. Kingsley might be able to play tackle, but regardless, my one worry for Jamari, what's his name? Her name, Jamari, whatever it was.
Jamari Lee from
So my one thing for that, and boy, man, Jamari Lee is getting the most out of his or her super chat. My one worry is this, and I touched on this a little bit yesterday. Texas needs to get off the football field on defense against these guys because two things. Okay, so first, maybe okay, all right. Vernon Broughton versus Cody Beebe. Yes, worry about that.
Cooper Beebe, by the way. Cooper.
What did I say his name was?
Cody, but Cooper.
Cooper. I'm so bad with these guys' names.
Well, he's got a brother with a name that starts with a C too, so it gets confusing.
Okay, so Cooper Beebe. Cooper. Okay. Vernon Broughton's going to have issues with him, big time. He's going to root him out of there. Trill Carter's mincemeat against him. Mincemeat. Don't even think about putting Aaron Bryant on him. Just don't even think about it. It would be terrible. So you have three guys that I'm comfortable. They're at the 3 technique against him. But if we consider the fact that Byron Murphy is not once this season lined up at 3 technique, he just hasn't. They play him at the 1 shade. They play him at the nose. That's it. It's basically just going to be Sweat and Alfred Collins. So I think that Murphy needs to play more snaps this week. And I think that he's going to have to play snaps next to Sweat, and he's going to have to play snaps next to Collins, both of them. I just want to look and see what
the big dogs need to be in there for the highest percentage of snaps possible in this game.
Yes, because look, what simply can't happen is a situation where they bring in the platoon of Trill Carter and Vernon Broughton, right? If it were up to me, honestly, what I would do is I would rather say, Vernon, look, we're gonna put you at 1 shade this week. He's played plenty of one shade, right? We're going to play you at one shade, and we're going to just make sure we have Collins at the 3, right? Because we're going to have a guy there that is going to be a lot harder for BB to move. But the easiest way, right, is to be strategic with the platoons, get Byron Murphy up from, let's say, what is Byron Murphy's average? Maybe I should have pulled up the deep dig before I came on the show, Blake. Blake, why didn't you remind me to do this? Let's see.
Not like you reference it every day.
he's let's see. So as far as the player participation so far this season, Byron Murphy's averaging 45.7% of snaps, right? I think just a menial increase to something was maybe like his season high, like we saw versus Alabama, up to 56% of snaps, 58% of snaps, something like that would allow for platoons involving Sweat and or Collins to be in there for 2/3 of snaps against BB. And then I would say if we have a situation where you do have to get to the Aaron Bryants. I threw it out yesterday. Like I said, it might be cockamamie and idiotic to think about. Sidney Mitchell's only played 10 snaps this season, but I mean, he's on 10 snaps. He's generated like, what is it, like three or 2 solo tackles and a pressure, something like that. It's been really good, and he's a harder body to move than Aaron Bryant. Aaron Bryant has played. He hasn't generated a lick of production, and he's actually played a little bit. Aaron Bryant's played 41 snaps this year. You know, he's played 4 times as many snaps as Sidney Mitchell. So I would just say that maybe Sidney Mitchell, if you do have to get into the super depth of these guys, I know he's inexperienced, but it's not like Aaron Bryant has that much experience on him. And Aaron Bryant, his pad level just gets him washed away. Trill Carter is not his pad level. He just gets beaten. He's just isn't strong. So that's how I see about that. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, Sark. So Sark talked to the media today. The injury updates, it wasn't. Chip tried his best.
Yeah. Did we get anything on Quinn at all?
No one's gonna ask about Quinn. Quinn's not playing.
Yeah. I'm just if he's still week to week, I assume, until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised somebody didn't ask, like, hey, Sark, is he out there throwing the ball? You let him out there go sling it? I don't know. No one really asked that.
Sling it down the field?
Yeah. Just give him a shot, coach. Give him a shot.
Just throw one. Throw it up.
Yeah. We've talked about it before, but I'm not going to go through the whole analysis of the Ask Orthopedic Dr. Alex, but we did have the Ask Orthopedic Dr. Alex earlier in the week, and just the studies that I researched, it's 17.3 days mean recovery, and that's not even counting the fact that we're talking, this is a throwing shoulder and this is a grade 2, which are not separated out into different buckets for the sake of that thing. So I think you're going to be lucky to have him back for TCU. Or who knows? Maybe you're unlucky. Maybe Malik Murphy goes out and throws for. Maybe he goes and pulls an Ollie Gordon of quarterbacks, goes out and throws for 500 yards in a game or something like that. And yeah, but yeah, it's true. Devin D. Taylor. No one asked about Quinn, and you know what? I can take some blame for that because I'm in that Zoom room. I don't ever raise my hand to ask.
Come on, Alex. What are you doing in there? Ask about Quinn.
Yeah, I don't know. Dude, Bianco's not going to call on me in that Zoom call. He's just not going to. That's part of the deal. But the injury updates that we did get is, look, Ethan Burke, Jalen Catalon, the guys who he'd said were week to week, along with Quinn Ewers. He didn't mention Ewers specifically. What Chip asked was just like, hey, were there any new additions to the injury report? The guys that kind of aren't on our radar, or is anybody coming off? And he basically just said, this is sort of status quo, right? We're kind of status quo right now. There's nothing really new to be told to you guys. And of course, he's probably going to say that, even even if guys did get injured or whatever else, he's not going to give up a competitive advantage. Just like, I get it. I understand it. I wouldn't do it if I was a coach. But yes, no Jalen Catalon this week. No Ethan Burke this week. He did say both those guys are back at practice. He said that he likes how Ethan Burke's practicing. He said he's probably not going to be able to go this week, so that means he's not going to go.
So that's something we're hearing about Burke that we're not hearing quite yet on Quinn Ewers. Is that he's not throwing? We haven't heard anything like that. So.
Yep. This would be something from Jamari Lee. This would be something that would get you kicked right out of the right out of the
Yeah, Sark, why are you obsessed with CJ Baxter? Imagine that in a press conference.
Dude, this last week, and some of that stuff down at the goal line, I can understand. It's like Jonathan, you can't just say, man, the goal line stuff's bad because they don't put Jonathan Brooks in at the goal line, because that's not true. I mean, they do put Jonathan Brooks down there at the goal line. But gosh, man, last week, the skill player participation between Jay Brooks and CJ Baxter, whenever it's like CJ Baxter still, I'm not sure if, look, I don't know if it's the fact that he's just not as good as Brooks at this point, which would be totally fine. Brooks is going to be what did Cody say? He's Dane Brugler has him as like his RB2 in the class. He's going to get drafted in day 2 of this draft, assuming unforeseen, I guess barring unforeseen, completely radical circumstances, right? Or just horrible testing, which I don't think will be the case. We saw you pull up the truck stick stuff yesterday that Cody sent, right, Blake?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has, he had the truck stick rating right there at the very top with all the guys.
CJ Baxter is also a true freshman. Like, I think people kind of lose sight of who he is, and like him and Jay Brooks being like next to each other. But like Brooks has been in this program a long time, so I just don't want to. I don't like all the bashing of CJ Baxter quite yet.
No,
I think
it's early.
I think he's been injured.
No, but it's not bad.
Not from you, but I've seen it in the chat before.
Well, but it's not bashing to say it feels the offense can go kerplunk sometimes when he's in.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like it goes kerplunk whenever Brooks is in there.
That's not to say we should be giving him the ball more, for sure. I just like his upside in the future. But right now it should be all Brooks.
It feels like it just look, man. To me, it feels like look versus. And this was during a time whenever CJ Baxter was getting back from being banged up, right? He was banged up in the Alabama game. He was banged up a little bit before they even started the season, right? It was like every week it was something new where he got banged up. He was leaving games, having to come back in games. He was not being able to practice. And it started out after he won the starting job at the end of fall camp, right? And then he got a little bit banged up. And then in that first game, he only plays 16% of snaps versus Rice. He comes back versus Alabama, plays 41% of snaps. And then 0% of snaps versus Wyoming. You get to Baylor, and he's starting to click back up a little bit. But you remember in the Baylor game when he was running off, he playing in that tiny little McMansion of a little stadium that Texas is never going to have to play in ever again. Thank the good Lord for that. No more of these Baylor idiots. That was 21% of snaps versus Kansas in a game where backups clearly were able to get in for larger portions of that game. He was in for 40% of snaps, but then a competitive game versus OU. CJ Baxter, now he's been back for 3 games. He's starting to look a little bit better, only 15.58% of snaps versus U of H, a competitive game, right? Only 22% of snaps. Jonathan Brooks was in there for 77% of snaps. Then in his last game versus BYU, I know that there was some element of it being kind of a less competitive game. So, but still, man, 52% of snaps for Jonathan Brooks and 40% of snaps for CJ Baxter. It doesn't feel like it's enough. And I know that not all of those snaps came in garbage time, because during garbage time, Jaden Blue played a bunch of snaps. And so whenever we consider this, Savion Red played 5 snaps in that game. Keelan Robinson played his usual little dinky 4 snaps. Right. And whenever I added it all up earlier, there was no difference in the first half and the second half between Baxter's usage. It was 11 snaps in the first half, 12 snaps in the second half. It's just the same. He's mingling in now at a 40% clip. It feels like it's a little bit little bit too much for right now. And again, that's not saying that CJ Baxter is not going to eventually be good. It's not denying the fact that he initially, in Sarkisian's eyes, won that job over Jay Brooks, right? Jay Brooks came out of nowhere. We all got it. Ted Appear said, settle down, the Beavis. Who's the Beavis? The Beavis. I thought you guys would call me the butthead. My kids. I made the biggest mistake ever letting them begin to watch that show. Just the big, yeah.
I watched that show.
Shut up, Beavis.
Stuck in my head. And freaking.
They just absolutely love it. I'm not going to settle down. I'm tired of settling down. And listen, I'm not done. We have more coming up next.
They want to make this game ugly. They want it to be slow. They want the clock to run. They want it to be a disjointed game. They don't want going back and forth. They don't want a basketball game. They need the Baltimore Ravens up this game a little bit. And that drive was kind of the opposite of that. They didn't, a little bit like Texas, right? They come out throwing the football, not really having a lot of success in this first drive. And here we are, 12:25 to go in the first quarter, and we're on our second punt of the game. Nice kick. Xavier Worthy takes the punt at the 25, and he's got a lane.
Nice return. Nice return. Worthy's gone. He's gone. It's
and
over.
For all of you that have wanted Xavier Worthy off of punt returns, how do you like them apples?
Wow.
He's been close to that all season long. And that was a case of the BYU punter kicking the ball too far down the field.
That was that 75? Did I see that yard marker right? Is that a 75-yard return?
Yeah, he caught it at about the 25. That's about right.
I'm telling you what, Catch, I don't think a dude in blue pants even touched him. It
was such a good punt.
Woo!
That it backed Worthy up, but it gave him a ton of space.
Yeah.
And so he avoids the first tackle attempt, and then he's just got acres of space to run through right down the middle. There wasn't a whole lot of fancy shake and bake on that. But
well, and that's extra dangerous too. If you can set it up to where that guy doesn't have to shake and bake and he can just go blinding speed, you're done. You talk about a dude that was done. That punter from BYU is he won't hear it in film study, Catch, because they all know him. They know who he is.
He's gonna like, none of them other dudes made tackles either.
Yeah.
Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Of course, here with Blake Skaggs. And man, we're pumped to be here with all you guys here in the chat. Ted Appear telling me I can't settle down. We've got a Kansas game coming up. We got Cody Carpentier coming on tomorrow for a final takes. And here's one thing that I can't. I have incredibly disappointing and just terrible news. Terrible news.
Oh no.
We only have like 32 likes on the show.
32 likes.
I see 103 people in the chat line. Guys, I'm telling you that if you can like the show, that's one way that you can really, really help us out. It really does help, and it is indeed free. You can just click the like button. It's I'm just looking right here. It's like you go down here. It says updates from Steve Sarkeesian and how good is K-State's run defense. And there's you go over to the right, and right down underneath it, you can subscribe. You can hit that button to subscribe. But right over there there's like a thumbs up and a thumbs down. You can just click the thumbs up, and it's absolutely free. It's free, and to subscribe is free. It's not like subscribing to a service or subscribing to Orange Bloods. It's actually like all it does is it makes the video show up in your feeds. He's asking me to go cornholio. No, I'm not gonna do it. Okay. Sark's availability. We got more to get to from this. We got some things. I'm not saying I told you so. I'm just saying.
Oh, here we go again.
I'm not saying I told you so. I'm just saying. This was a great question that somebody asked. I wish I could remember exactly who it was, because it's just out of nowhere question. He said, who's improved the most on the team this year? What do you think his answers were? He listed three guys.
Ooh, Sweat. Brooks. And who's improved the most? Quinn? I don't know.
You got one right.
I got one.
Brooks won the first one he mentioned. The first one he mentioned was, of course, Anthony Hill. The second one he mentioned.
When I was coming up with names, I was thinking about guys from last year that got better this year. But okay, fair enough.
Anthony Hill, DJ Campbell, Jonathan Brooks.
Okay.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I don't think it takes. You know what it does. Like I said, it doesn't take some dude here talking his head off on your YouTube and reading all these idiotic stats and all this cockamamie business to be able to show you this stuff. But the improvement from these guys, it's been astounding, and you can just see here just on the snaps per disruption allowed per week from the offensive line. Look at DJ Campbell. So we're talking about, so for snaps per disruption allowed, here's what it is. It's just how many total snaps, right? And it's just, and so you take the total of all these things: sacks allowed, hits allowed, pressures allowed, run stuffs allowed, TFLs allowed, and penalties allowed. You take the total, and then you divide the total number of snaps by the total number of instances of disruption, right? DJ Campbell, he's at 34.07. Okay. If we look at how he's trended this season, that's third best on the team right now. But look at where he started out: 11.2 snaps per disruption allowed, then 18, then 19.29, then 24.38, then 30.67, then 29.42, then 31.04, then 37.07. This is like, if you look at this historically, and we showed this yesterday, but I always look at this thing anyway. I mean, look at where they all are out of these 74 guys, right? 73 guys that I've done this for since the last 11 years who've had at least 100 snaps. DJ Campbell's now right here at number 20 overall out of the 73 who've played a snap. Where he started, you come down here, sadly, Tristan Nicholson had a couple of rough years. I think Tristan's a cool dude, so this isn't calling him out or anything, but just for the sake of this, he was at 12.7 snaps whenever he was a junior that he allowed disruption once every 12.7. DJ Campbell started out right here at 11.3, the worst to ever play at Texas as far as snaps per disruption. Now he was playing well, right? He was just like Sark said at the time, man. Like Sark said at the time, the whole fact of man. You look at him and you just say he makes these mistakes. You're like, dude, it's just so frustrating because I know you can do. I know you're better than that. I see what you can do. It's so much better, and it was frustrating to see. But at the time, I recommended caution with him because it was like, guys, you don't understand what it's like between. Whoa, my gosh, this isn't a football commit, is it?
No. Sorry to throw you off. I was just going to mention this. Nick Cody, 2024 power forward, big pickup for Rodney Terry and Texas basketball.
Is he any good?
Yeah, number 41 in the Rivals.
Does he have a huddle or something, or does basketball even have huddles?
Oh, good question. We might can find some film, or you can go read
some highlights, man. Some basketball with friends. I don't know anything about how to evaluate it, but I'd like to see if this guy's dunking on kids and stuff.
I'll shoot it here. Give me a second. I'll share my screen. Our basketball writer Keenan Womack has a free piece up on orangebloods.com. You can read about him, but he's got some gifts as well. We can check out his game. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's see if let's check this dude out.
Let me take the chat off. Do this.
So outside shot there.
A good shot. Got a put back.
A little put back. Let's see him
dunk right here.
Let's see him dunk on somebody.
Look at the reach.
How tall is he?
Manhandled this guy. 6'8", 200 pounds.
6'8", 200 pounds. My gosh, give him a hamburger.
Power forward out of Newman Smith in Carrollton.
Okay.
There you go. Little basketball with friends.
So wait, but there's no dunks?
Well, I'm sure there are, but those were just the gifts that Keenan had in his column.
I'm the only one.
Looks like a real versatile guy. I mean, he's got some steals, putbacks.
Yeah,
really well, got good reach.
To have those long arms like that. But are there no dunks in the gifts?
None of those gifts. No.
Let's see. Can we pull up a huddle reel, man? We find him dunking on some kids.
Let's see if we can pull it up.
Okay. Yeah, but the thing about DJ Campbell is he's sort of looking this up. I always said, look, don't worry about it. He's giving up these run stuffs. He's like, yeah, I know you all saw him give up this stat, right? But the thing with him is, like the in between plays are the ones that are just amazing, right? Where DJ Campbell would just like the pin king, right? The knockdown king. He's a monster. He's had the best graded game on the deep dig this year for Texas of anybody. When I was looking through there, I'd kind of totally forgotten about that. So his upside's through the roof. Anthony Hill, we certainly know about Anthony Hill. Smash that like button, you miscreants. I would never call our friends here miscreants. I think that they're some of the best people, man. Some of the salt of the earth, salt of the earth. Because I don't know if Blake can even put it up right now, but you know who the true salt of the earth is. Val Garcia. Fallon Realty. Have you heard? If you work in education or if you work in the ministries, he's going to sell your house for free in the DFW area. For free. Val Garcia. Ooh, Val Garcia. Look at the way that he can sell a home. He's top 25% in the whole DFW area, and there's a reason why. He's a fun guy to be with. He's a fun guy to hang around with. I love having him as our sponsor here. He's the show's first sponsor. He's one of us. He's here and he's here in the chat. He lurks around, but he keeps his eyes on everything that we're doing here, and we certainly love him for it. If you tell him that you heard about him on Football with Friends and you're in the DFW area, even if you don't work in education, even if you don't work in the ministries, you can sell your house for half price. Half. A 1.5% agent fee as opposed to 3%. And I know that doesn't sound well. Alex, 1.5 versus 3. Why does that matter? What if I told you it means 10K, 15K, 20K? Look at that man. Look at that smile on his face. He's going to shake your hand and give you a cashier's check for 15K. You can go buy a new Polaris Ranger if you want. You could drill a whole new well. Whatever it is that you need, man, Val Garcia is going to be there for you, whether you're in Burleson, Plano, wherever it is. Val Garcia, man, it would be dereliction of duty. You'd be doing such a disservice not to use him if you're in the DFW area. And please, if you have friends in the DFW area, let them know about Val Garcia. Let them know that you heard about him on Football with Friends. You can find him at valenrealty.com. All right. A dunk? Basketball with friends?
You wanted a dunk. You wanted a dunk. Here's one right at the start of this video. Look.
Boom! Look at that. We want the dunks. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, nice. All right. Well, thanks to Basketball Eye for showing that deal. Val picks the Longhorns to win this weekend. Okay. Look, man. If Val says it. I believe it. I think we had a super chat. What was the super chat?
Yeah, Jamari Lee, the super chat king. Thank you so much, brother.
A $4.99 super chat. Okay. Jamar Lee saying that was a weak dunk. Jeez.
Hey, I, while you were talking about Val Garcia, I was checking out his highlights here. This dude just hits floaters for days. Like his mid range looks really good for a power forward.
Perfect. Okay,
there you go.
Let's see. Hold on. Jay Ward saying the verdict is in. I have to have a camera shoved down my throat to look at my stomach. Doctor cut my beer consumption down to 1 a day. Well, that's just
Jay Ward.
You can just tell the doctor, tell him, man, Alex drinks more than that, and he's fine. He doesn't need a camera down his throat. Wait, is the doctor leaving a camera down there to videotape it and make sure there's not more than one beer coming down? I don't get it. All right. Let's see. So $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Jamari Lee. It won't show up in the stat sheet, but honorary mention has to be Watts. We've seen how different this defense is with him on the field. Well, it will show up in the.
It's hard to argue.
It will show up in the deep dig stat sheet. Let me see if I can just share this thing here. So that's still on the offensive line, but if I just look at the market master, let's just look at Ryan Watts and sort of where he is. So among cornerbacks, we'll just sort like this. So we now look at this. Did we talk about Xavier Bryce getting his first 4 snaps of the season this last game? So shout out Xavier Bryce. Okay, so we have Gavin Holmes, Malik Muhammad, Xavier Bryce. So I need to make it smaller to be able to look at these, and I'll just kind of read it off to you guys. Okay, Gavin Holmes allowing a 70% completion percentage when targeted, thrown at 10 times, allowed 6 completions. He's had 1 coverage burn. He's had 2 PBUs. Malik Muhammad allowing a 72.22% completion percentage. He's been thrown at 18 times, allowed 12 completions. He's had 1 coverage burn and 3 PBUs. Ryan Watts allowing a 25% completion percentage.
Wow.
He's been thrown at 12 times. Is this true? This can't be right. 1 completion and 2 burns. So only 3 times he's allowed the balls to be caught. He's had 2 pass breakups, 1 blow up. And then Terrence Brooks, the second best completion percentage allowed, 39.29%. He's been thrown at, so teams target Brooks the most. He's also been on the field really the most out of all these guys, right? 324 snaps for him, 226 for Watts, 226 for Muhammad, 230 for Holmes, 4 for Bryce.
That 25% number from Watts is super telling. I mean, you see it on.
I think it's kind of super. I think it's kind of super telling that Brooks has been thrown out 28 times. That's 10 more times than his nearest competitor.
They're going after him.
But he's only allowed a 39.29% completion percentage. Gavin Holmes and Malik Muhammad, I know Malik Muhammad's been really good, and he's gotten the 3 pass breakups and stuff like that. He's certainly not missing as many tackles as Gavin Holmes. He misses a tackle once every 46 snaps. Right? Ryan Watts is also, this goes to Jamari Lee's point. He only allows a missed tackle once every 226. He's only missed 1 tackle this whole season. Those are the little silent things, like he says, that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet, right? That are certainly interesting. And he does make a big deal. Just that presence, that presence of over on the boundary, a guy that's physical, right? A guy who can get up and press if he needs to, but has the speed to turn and run with these guys to a certain degree. We did see in what game was that, Blake? Was that, I forgot what it was. Was it versus Alabama, where we just saw maybe a little bit of his issue with speed? We're like, hey, man, so there's some of these guys you can't really get in their hip pocket.
I think it was Alabama. I think you're right.
It kind of brought back the whole thing that Jim Nagy was saying prior to the year. It's like, does he need to play safety at the next level? But yeah, I mean, clearly he makes a huge impact on the defense. And he brings, since he only plays on the boundary, and since Gavin Holmes only plays to the field side, and you can't move them, you can't switch them, they don't do anything, right? Terrence Brooks can play either. Malik Muhammad can play either. Having Watts out there just gives him the versatility over there on the field side to say, like, look, it doesn't always have to be Gavin Holmes if he's not going to be a good matchup versus. If it's not a little small, shifty guy that Gavin Holmes is up against, right? You want to get somebody with a little bit more physicality up against maybe a bigger, taller wide receiver, somebody that can't box him out, somebody that's not going to go above the rim on it. Since it is a basketball with friends show. Right, we can use topics like that.
You talking basketball, baseball? This is a versatile football with friends show. What it is.
It gives you the versatility to sort of play around with the field that you get over there on the field side. So I think that's another sort of thing that would never show up in any stat sheet, even in the advanced stuff that I kind of take myself. Cody, what are you sending in a super chat? My gosh,
thank you.
Thank you for it, but geez, man. Okay. Can you compare the feel of this season to 04? 04, like that was 04 was the Michigan season.
That's the Michigan Rose Bowl season. Mm-hmm.
It feels a little like it. I have to go back and look. Texas certainly beat OU that year, right? Or did they? So no, that was that the shoe at night?
Streak of OU wins, because OU won like 5 in a row, right?
Can we find the picture of me at the Michigan game, Rose Bowl? There's got to be a GIF of that on Orange Bloods or somewhere.
I'll look and see if I can find it.
I was on, like, people always show the GIF of me just going like, oh no, before that final kick. Yeah,
Dusty Mangum putting him through.
Yeah. So they lost 12-0 to OU because it was the next year that they beat OU. I think that first year, did they beat Ohio State at home that year? Or was that the shoe at night the next year, the Lima Swede catch? I get those mixed up, man. I was just out of college. I was still kind of in college, just getting graduated that year, man. Those were hazy times, Cody. Like nothing felt the same back then. Certainly the aches and pains were different, man, in the old body. I don't know. If it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like Texas has a Vince Young. Whenever you had Vince, you always thought you were gonna, right? Whenever you had Vince, you always thought you
would it feel like that if Quinn was for sure going to be coming back for another year?
Like Vince?
No, not like Vince, but would the overall feeling of the team feel similar?
The overall feeling of the team was Vince Young, and you can't stop him.
Yeah. When would you say you fully realized that about Vince?
Probably not till the 2000. Well, maybe the end of 2004, maybe the Michigan game. I mean, like I was at both those games. I was at the Michigan game and I was at the 2 straight Rose Bowl games.
I was at the second with the national championship one too.
I remember thinking, dude, I do remember thinking in 2005, I'm like, oh my God, no one can stop him. He's the best I've ever seen, you know? But it was, I'm not sure that I think I began to feel that way in 2005. I'm not sure that I felt that way in 2004.
You want to see how old I was? This is us in Los Angeles for the 2000,
oh gosh,
what is USC? That's me in the middle.
Oh, is that you and your old man and your brother or something?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How old is your brother nowadays?
Game.
Golly,
I was, I'm born in '98, so
everybody still Texas fans.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, good. They didn't switch over to the Aggies or something like
that.
Through
and through.
No. You go off to college for the Aggies and you switched off. All right, good to know. Good to know. Burn orange till the end. Okay, so Ted Perry. So this is a good thing to remember about that. Mock had to come in and win. In Tech in 2004. See, that's
kind of what I was asking because I was so young. I don't remember all those things. I remember that watching that, but I don't remember the intricacies of that season and when y'all felt like, okay, Vince is that guy. Like,
I remember in that whole 2005 year, I would yell at my TV, nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop him. He's unstoppable. Like you can't beat him. You can't beat him. And it wasn't even. And there were other great players on the team, but like Vince and Bot, it's just. I think you could never compare this team to the 2005 team, the feel of the season so far. But I just think comparing it to 2004 also, because think about think about the offensive line with like Sin line and there are guys I'm going to be forgetting, but like. Jonathan Scott and Big Bank, Blaylock, some of these dudes that were just murderers, right? Just murderers, and the defensive line full of these guys as well. The linebackers, you remember, that was the height of DBU. It was really. I mean,
it's hard to compare any teams to the 2005 Texas team. I mean,
yeah, or even 2004. I think that would be doing this team a disservice. It's a different kind of team. It's built differently, and
they did this. They did this to Joel Klatt.
Was that versus Colorado? Yeah,
yeah. That was on my birthday in 2005.
I've already told you guys that me and my wife were sitting down in that very end zone eating nachos whenever Drew Kelson put that hit on him. Yeah.
I can't believe Klatt likes Texas now. If I was him, I would just resent everything.
We talked about it when the best color analyst theme, right?
Yeah.
He's a GOAT color analyst, man, but
he's awesome.
He's like, he realizes, man, Texas is good. It's good to be on Texas side. Sark did say, for any of you guys going to the game, he gave the old Mac Brown speech. He's like, man, it's an 11 a.m. game. Do you guys think there's gonna be any issues with the crowd getting up for this? He says, man, we need everybody there early. We need them loud, whatever. You and Mac's old thing. Be early, stay loud, wear orange, be late, stay late, or whatever it was.
Don't be late.
Don't be late.
Stay late. Yeah, stay late.
Yeah. He was really saying, man, we need everybody out there. We know it's going to be a great atmosphere. He said this is the kind of Sark's coming into this game with some he's coming into this game with some reverence for this team. He's saying stuff like, I think it might be the first time I've heard. Maybe I heard him say it about Alabama when he says, like, we have an incredible opportunity this week, right? Not saying we got to go out and take care of business this week. We got to handle our business, do our, instill our will, make sure that we're on our game plan or something like that. He's like, well, this is a great a little bit of reverence for K-State here. And saying we hope the fan base feels that too, because it's an 11 a.m. game. I talked about it yesterday that I worry more about an 11 a.m. game than I do about this cockamamie 3-3-5 nonsense. And I don't even know. And here's the thing: I don't even know for one, if you go back and look, if Texas has even been bad in the 11 a.m. games historically over the course of my life. I don't know. To me, it just kind of feels like it.
Is it a feeling of the team or more so the fan base showing up, late first quarter?
Just feels like they're kind of slow. They've always been kind of sluggish in these 11 a.m. games, man. I feel like I'd be kind of sluggish. Give me a little more time to get ready. Like 11 a.m. I gotta get up early and get over to the stadium, and next thing you know, it's like I'm having to get up there for rah cow and warm ups and dynamic stretch. Next thing you know, I'm back in the locker room and we're going over the stuff, and coach is asking, like you got this, like, if he comes in like this DN comes heavy, you got to make sure that you pass him off to Kelvin. Like, it's like the next thing you know, you're out on the field and it just feels too early. Yeah, it could be. I think Ted Appear's right, because he's saying it could just be PTSD, or that's what he's saying is PTSD, because all the OU games are always 11.
Well,
11
also,
a.m.
Let's factor this in. Usually, over the last 10 years, Texas has not been that good, which means they get more 11 a.m. kicks. And since they're not very good, they're not going to play well in those games.
Oh, look at the big brain on Blake. We figured it out. You can use that big brain to help me put together another one of these Prize Picks winners. We got to be Costanzas again for sure. Oh, maybe not for NFL. I can't be a Costanza for NFL. I got to play the best plays. But for college, man, I can do it. We still have a bunch of the. I need to focus. We have a bunch of the Sarkeesian press conference to get to. We're going to focus. We're going to do it all next.
Thing about that season, so you guys had a bye week.
Yes.
In between that game and playing, ironically, Chad, at Rice after a week off.
We played Penn State. Won, of course. No one thought we could. On the road in Happy Valley. Had a bye week. Everybody thought we were all a patch on the back and you're great and this and that. And then we play Colorado. And that occurs. And then we have a bye week after that too?
Yep. Y'all went bye week to start the season.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So we had to wait another week. Then we played Rice. And that fueled us, though, the rest of the season, man.
So how did y'all do it? That's the question I wanted to ask. Was you said you guys had the hangover after that Colorado game. But then y'all come back and basically didn't lose the rest of the season until you get to the bowl game. Right. So what happens after a disappointing loss that lets you know you're back and not still hungover? When does the hangover end? When did it end?
Speaking personally, that's when you have to do the self-reflection. Each guy has to go in and do that deliberation. Did I do my best, or what do I need to get better? And to have 2 weeks to think about that. After 2 weeks of being told you're the greatest and Texas is back and yada, 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 after winning at Happy Valley, they're ranked, you're not. And then it reverses. You did a complete 180. Now you're sulking for 2 weeks and you're chomping at the bit to get back out there, but you have to wait. So just personally, you rededicate yourself. That's what you do. You rededicate yourself. You endeavor to make up for the mistakes. to get in that film room. I'm going to work a little bit harder. I'm going to lift those weights a little bit longer. And that's what you have to do. And it's difficult. Now they've had to sit there for 2 weeks and think about the mistakes. And when they're little bitty mistakes that shouldn't occur, that's what eats at you. That's one thing if the team is that much better than you. But they're not. Oklahoma wasn't. And Colorado wasn't that much better than them. We just made the mistakes where they didn't. So you have to. One of my favorite quotes, Socrates, or Socrates, as we say in Texas, a life not self-examined is a life not worth living. Do that self-deliberation, man. You gotta sit there and reflect on your play and what type of player you want to be moving forward. And that was the fuel to and the catalyst to get us moving back in the right direction.
He has his football with friends. It is fun as hell, and Blake loves it whenever Brian Jones says Socrates.
No, he says Socrates.
Yeah,
Yes, Socrates, or Socrates as we call him in Texas.
I don't, but I don't know where Brian Jones is from.
I never heard that before. That's why I thought
We got so happy to see everybody here in the chat, man. Just a quick reminder, if you guys could please like the show, it's just the little thumbs up button right underneath here on YouTube. It really does mean a ton to us. It helps bring in new viewers, which in turn helps the channel, helps us to be able to continue doing this and make it something that's sustainable to continue doing moving forward. Like, that's the way that you can really help the channel, is just by liking the show. And if you're not subscribed, if you could please subscribe, that would help us out a ton. I know that everybody here in the chat probably, well, not everybody in the chat probably has. We got 92 in the chat right now, only 54 likes, Listen, don't do it if you're driving. Okay. Don't do it if you're driving, but if you're watching this later on, if you're catching this on late at night, I know that, man, it's so crazy. People email me, and you guys can always make sure to email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Any of your comments, concerns. If you have complaints, I'll always be happy to forward those on to Blake. Hold on, wait.
This is what it is?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Is that what that is? I don't think I've seen that movie all the way through.
Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. That's what I know. Money B is asking. Oh yeah, so Blake, we put up the thing. Money B is asking if I'm going to be at the Pine House thing tomorrow. The answer is I'm not exactly sure yet. It honestly depends on what time my wife gets home. I live out in Spicewood, so it's a little bit of a drive for me. But maybe if I could make it out just for that panel, maybe I could be out there for that. If I come, I won't be able to stay the whole time, but I'm going to try and make it out. It's just, I don't have the exact plans yet. I don't know if we'll have time. If we're going to Bed Bath and Beyond or, whatever else. But anyway,
Amazon.
It's tomorrow, Friday, November 3rd, 6 to 9 p.m. It looks like there's a Q&A, 6:30 to 7:15. The location's Pine House Brewing, 2201 East Ben White.
We get the whole covered porch set aside, shuffleboard, TVs. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's the shuffleboard?
Yeah, they said there's a shuffleboard table in there.
Are you going to the meetup, Money B? If so, we got to play shuffleboard, brother.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have any more from Sark? I think we just had a couple more things before we'll put together a couple of these lineups. Because there's 2 games I want to put together lineups for tonight. Oh, and I also wanted to check out the PFF green line. Let's actually do that. Cockamamie green line. Okay, so the Longhorns right now. Where was it yesterday, Blake?
Let me see. Go back to this
one. The tickets are
Texas 61% tickets, Kansas State 51% cash.
So now we're down to Texas 51% of tickets, K-State 53% of cash, and the lines moved to -4. So
I did see the line moving to -4. Yeah.
So is that we can't call that I don't think when it's 50.
No, I think it's kind of just settled in.
It's not a reverse line movement. I think this is just I think that's the right, Blake. I think we can just call it settling, right? It's just kind of settled in here at 4. I don't think it's going to move unless we see a big group come in on one side or the other at this point. 3.5 or 4 has always felt about right to me, right?
Well, and that's because it's a Texas home game. If this was in Manhattan, they're probably favored by a little bit.
I think they'd be favored by like 1.5.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So you figure that here's they're. I don't know if it's exactly true, the old adage about the books always give you 3 just for being at home, but it's kind of what I always look at. And I think, all right, if they're at home, give them 3, and then we'll go from there. They're basically kind of acting like Texas and Kansas State. They sort of see it as a, where Texas just has a kind of slight edge. I think with the quarterback situation, it makes a little bit of sense to kind of view them that way, even though any of the, I've been looking at some of these models and some of this stuff. Oh gosh, I saw Stuart Mandel. Stuart Mandel picked Kansas State to win outright 24-20 on The Athletic today. He said to take Kansas State +4. Who knows? Like Stuart Mandel.
24-20. Yeah.
Since when is he some kind of consigliere of making sharp bets and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Money B saying he's planning to go tomorrow, but not till 7:30 or so. I might be there by then. If I am, we got to play some shuffleboard. Money B.
Do we need to end the show a little bit early tomorrow so we can get over there?
Well, maybe you do. Yeah. Yes. I would love to go over there. Yeah.
I live pretty close, but I was just wondering anyway.
Well, I'll need to find out when my wife gets home. It's like, it doesn't matter when the show ends. It matters when my kids have somebody take care of them and make sure they don't.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll be fine.
Immediately raid all the candy when nobody's watching.
5 and 9 years old with a whole 2 bags of candy without dad around. Yeah. You kidding me, man? Yeah. Let's see. Oh gosh, and I wanted to say it too. Christian Jones. Did you hear who he said is the toughest guy on the team?
No, missed that.
If I gave you 50 guesses, you wouldn't get it. Does that give you any hints?
Give me 2 guesses then.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go way.
You need to
random.
You need to.
Michael Taff.
Nope.
Oh man, toughest guy on the team. Savion Red.
No, Money B saw it.
Charles Wright. Hell yeah, Charles Wright.
He said if we had a whole team full of Charles Wrights, and some of the people might not. I'm guessing everybody here knows who Charles Wright is, right? He's the 4th string quarterback. He's never going to see the field.
Out of Austin High, right?
I thought. Is he Austin? I thought St. Stephen. Is it Austin High? I view Austin High like I view St. Stephen's and all these other cockamamie schools. Blake, I don't know anything.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine for a Westlake.
I think it was Austin High.
Okay. But he was just saying like this. If we had a whole team full of Charles Wrights, we'd be undefeated every year. He's like, this guy, you have no idea what a hard worker he is. He's out there like all he's ever doing is, he's like the first guy there. He's like, you see him come out like 50 minutes after practices are over, just sweat dropping off his face. And like, he just said that he says he just can't believe the dude. He said, like, I think Charles Wright. I was just like, man, I love Christian
awesome
Jones. I love Christian Jones, man. Every time, dude, he gets into those media interviews, he's such a thoughtful dude, man. Very thoughtful, very, very good answers, very smart. Wasn't he some kind of like, isn't he one of the guys who's kind of like one of these academic guys? He has to be.
He was also the guy that played a different sport too. Was he a soccer player or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He came from one of those schools. He probably came from one of those like Jesuit schools or something where they all play soccer and just super smart. The guy's got it all. Blake. God,
clearly.
Let him come babysit my kids. My gosh. Maybe he could come babysit him on Friday.
Maybe he could.
Hey, Christian, come on out to Spicewood. I got 2 cockamamie kids. Keep them out of the candy. You don't touch it either. You got a game tomorrow, brother.
You come back and the candy's gone.
Christian Jones like, Alex, what did you do to me? Tempted me with all this candy before the game tomorrow. Okay. They asked. So there's a bunch of. Oh, did you see that Ricky Williams is getting honored?
Yes, I did. I don't know the details.
I don't either. Do you want to hear? Do you want? I didn't even. This wasn't anything I planned to talk about. But did you know about the time when I kind of swindled Ricky Williams on a story I wrote about him?
Swindled him? What'd you do?
A little bit, man. I felt really bad.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the quick thing. So when I first started like writing about football and doing this stuff, right? My first job was at this terrible newspaper called the Austin Chronicle. And it was this newspaper in Austin where it's just super alternative-y newspaper, right? It's mainly about music and culture, kind of a counterculture kind of magazine or like a newspaper, right? But
like the Anti-Statesman, like
well, the Statesman's kind of any newspaper in Austin's always going to kind of Austin's keep Austin weird. I mean, so it's like all the newspaper people are kind of like that.
Not a Wall Street Journal or something.
But like the Chronicle is like this free newspaper that actually did have a circulation at the time, like 150K of people who would pay to have it brought right to their house. But you could just get it. You could still get it at the gas station or something. And I was offered a job there doing this article called the NFL Beat, and they were like, we can't really pay you, but unless you get one of your stories into the print edition, but we can get you credentials to the combine. And I was like, what? Okay, so you're telling me you're gonna get me into the combine at Lucas Oil and I can go interview prospects and stuff? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Where do I do it? What do I need to do? They're like, you just need to write a weekly column about the upcoming slate of games and whatever else. But then during the offseason, I started doing more and more because I would, I wanted credentials to the Senior Bowl and to the, this was my 13th Senior Bowl this year, or coming up. So this was 13 years ago or something. And they got this advisory from Ricky Williams, from the Ricky Williams Foundation, for this thing that he was doing with this kind of this guru, and I forget the guy's name, but it was called Access Consciousness, and it was a real Ricky Williams kind of out of the blue type of deal, right?
I think I remember something like that.
But here's the thing: you kind of look into it, and I went with my business partner Byron. Byron just wanted to go because he just wanted to go meet Ricky, right? So we went up to this little school in East Austin near where we used to live, and we met up with him. We met up with this old dude who's like the guru guy of it, who kind of teaches you to meditate and you get this access consciousness. And I think he kind of tries to hypnotize you and stuff and all the rest. And we came out of that thing thinking, well, that's cool what Ricky's doing, because he's having this dude do this to the little kids. Like, that's cool and stuff. And we started walking out, we're like, oh, wait, they're doing that to little kids? Like, isn't that a little bit strange? We started thinking it's strange. And you dig into the background of this guy, and apparently they have all kinds of wild parties on boats, and it's all about getting together and letting your inhibitions go free with other like-minded adults. And it sounded very kind of risque-ish parties that, that would happen and stuff. So I just looked into it more and more. I was starting thinking, maybe this isn't the best thing for kids. But I tried to write a fair article about it, right? My editor gets into that thing and just really turns, gets in some other stuff, gets in some background. They ended up, it was one that they paid me for, and they put it in the print edition. It was on, it wasn't on the cover, but it was on one of the ones where it was like, they have stuff on the cover, then they have the other featured articles, and it was like, state of the Ricky Williams Foundation, like,
oh no.
Yeah, man. And they added all kinds of other stuff. And dude, I just remember Ricky called me up after. He's like, dude, what the hell, man? Like I thought we were, thought we were good. I'm like, Ricky, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like, my editor got to it, but I do think your guy's kind of weird,
but you're like,
but I didn't, but brother, I didn't mean to make it that bad. I didn't. Like, in my wildest dreams, I would have never wanted to do something like that to Ricky. I felt bad about it. Since I've spoken with him, we've cleared the air. It's completely fine. Whenever he was on the Celebrity Apprentice, he reached out to me and asked if he could get people from Orange Woods to go vote for him. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. But like, are we cool from everything about this? He's like, oh yeah, dude, we're fine. So we're fine. It's fine. We're all friends. Good. We're all friends. Okay. Anyway, Ted Appear asked me if he still has a grudge against Alex. If you talk to Ricky, ask him. I think it's all water under the bridge. 25th anniversary for him in this thing. Did we even talk about anything Sark said? My God.
Yeah, sure.
Well, so what happened to the weird guy? I could probably find the article. It's probably online.
I already have it. Alex.
What is the what is the there's the guy. Pull him up. It's that guy.
Gary Douglas.
Gary Douglas.
Yeah. I'm a reporter, as is my Roster Watch co-host, co-founder Byron Lambert.
And I didn't write that.
It doesn't sound like something you would write. I am a reporter.
A bunch of this stuff got written in by my editor to make it sound really cockamamie and weird. But that guy right there, Gary Douglas, is a weird dude, man.
No, he can speak with molecules, Alex.
He told us that he could speak.
Some call it a cult.
He told us that he could speak with molecules, like stuff like. I was like, man, I'm not sure we need to be teaching the first.
Oh man, there's some language down there too.
He uses some cockamamie language. Look, you can go look up the article. But here's the thing. I did not mean to get onto this. We could take it down. I'm embarrassed by the whole episode for sure. And this is water under the bridge for sure. Williams remains on the creative edge in retirement. Gosh, these eyes, man. It's seeing some things. What an interesting life I've had. Okay, what an interesting slate of games we have here tonight on Prize Transition. Okay, so let's share this screen. Log in. Don't share my login.
Here, I'll take it off here.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry about that.
Oh no! Access Consciousness has 146,000 subscribers on YouTube with Gary Douglas. Dang it! We gotta catch them, Alex. We gotta catch them.
Okay. All right. Cody's gonna want me to take Will Levis. The one I wanted that I talked about earlier for this game was rushing plus receiving yards for Tyjae Spears. Where's the rushing plus receiving yards? So take it down.
You just search Spears.
38.5. We'll go more on that. Then is there any? I mean, doesn't it feel
that's
like
an interesting line? Hold on, that's an interesting line. Go back to that. Search Spears again.
Yep.
So the rushing is at 19.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Spirit 14.5.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely losing some value there, but I just don't. Yeah. I don't know where it's going to come from. I just know he's going to end up with more than 38.5h total.
You're losing the value, but you have multiple ways of.
I just have. I'm just trying to give myself more outs.
Yeah. Right? Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so we'll do that one. Najee Harris stinks. He's not getting 44.5 rushing yards. I don't care. What has he done? Gosh, he's actually gotten a lot more than that recently. But this is a tough matchup for opposing runners. They got Tier Tart back. Jeffrey Simmons is a beast.
What would Costanza do on this one, Alex?
I think 44.5 seems too low, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing less.
Pretty low, yeah.
And I'm taking more. Shouldn't Jaylen Warren get more than this? No, Jaylen Warren receiving, because they like Warren. Oh gosh, has he ever? So he rarely gets this.
Look at this every other
game. Let's take that more. All right, that's what we're gonna do. Those three. Is there anything else? Some fantasy scores here. Has Cody said anything?
Levis plus Pickett interceptions. What's the number? 2.5.
Oh, really?
He says 2.5 question mark.
Levis plus Pickett interceptions. Where can I find
interceptions?
Okay.
INTs is on the right. There, you can search. Yeah. Is there even a number for that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
What did Levis rush for last week?
Michael says last week's picks were not great. We won yesterday, though.
Most are not great.
We usually say fade all of these.
Cody, do you have an answer for? I go with Joe Burrow. And make sure.
Speaking of, we got a super chat involving Joe Burrow that we can do here in a second.
Yes, that's the answer. Is the answer for super chats Joe Burrow. Okay, so let's get this one in like this, and now let's go to the college football one. Okay, so I know this. Tech stinks, but Taj Brooks is good, right?
Yep.
So Taj Brooks is going to go over 107.5. But everybody else is going under, right? Amani Bailey, dude, he went for what? 100 versus K-State? He's going for more, right? Vaunted K-State defense. But everybody else, Brennan Morton, what has he done? He's getting, less, of course. And
not the K-State defense. Oh, you're talking about Imani Bailey going over.
Yeah, Amani Bailey, whenever he went up against K-State, went for 100.
Right.
That's a much tougher run defense than Tech. And then what about the Tech wide receivers? Just pick all the unders on them, right?
41.5.
Gosh, it seems low.
30.
Oh, man. Miles Price, he's actually kind of good. Maybe I'll just do the Costanza. Duran Bailey. Let's go less on him.
Yeah, less on Bailey. Yeah.
Or Bradley, sorry. And then
Bradley.
20 to win 200. I mean, what I need to do is pick one more. Anybody have any of these that they like? CFB, Lacey from South Alabama. What about him? Cody saying Lacey from South Alabama.
South Alabama. Pull him up.
The more or the less? More or less?
Is it 90? We also got Michael My Business saying Webb getting a rushing touchdown tonight. Oh, you're already getting a payout shift. God.
This is so messed up, man. They think I'm a robot. What about Lacey? Is it more like do we like Lacey this much?
Well, let's look at what he's done.
Cody just says Lacey, but he didn't say what to do with him. Okay, so 90.5 receiving yards. Oh gosh, he goes over it every time.
That's what I was saying. We should probably. Oh, Cody says less.
Less?
Less receptions.
Less receptions.
Oh,
okay. 7.5?
That is a lot of receptions.
Yeah, that's good. All right, cool. 20 to win 180 with this many picks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What? Okay.
The payout shift.
Fantasy score. What do we think?
Michael My Business guaranteeing that Webb touchdown.
Webb TD. All right, let's see. Is that a Webb? All right, we're going to do it. LaDamian Webb.
He says Webb has at least one TD rushing in every game.
All right, we're going to put him in. Michael My Business. Once I added that in, they changed my payouts back to being back to being okay. They think that pick's bad. All right, let's see if we can make a quick 500 doing that.
If it's bad, then it's probably good.
Let's see, speaking of 500, let's see if we can get up to 500 likes. What do you say, Blake?
Oh,
500 likes?
Incredible.
We have Cody Carpentier joining tomorrow, of course, for Final Takes Friday. Unfortunately, he will not be here live in studio drinking the Casamigos like last week, but we're gonna have a bunch of fun with that. We'll get our Final Takes questions all submitted in to Blake, and we'll get that done. We got a big game here on TV tonight that we get to watch. 2 of them actually. Just get it on the old YouTube TV. I'll bet you it won't give us side-by-side screens for college and NFL, I don't think.
Oh,
but
they need to start doing that.
What you need to do is just bite the bullet and just go buy another TV. All right, just go get it done. We got a bunch of big action tonight. I'm grilling some burgers. My son's pumped up. He's in the other room sleeping because his sister is at some after school party and he's sad because he can't be there. So I'm gonna go wake him up. We're gonna kick some tires. We're gonna light some fires, man. Hope you guys can have some fun with your family, with your friends tonight, watching some football, getting ready for a big Friday as we look ahead to this weekend, this all-important ultimate weekend for Texas football. So we can't thank you enough for being here today. We're here every day, 3:30 to 5:30. Oh, let me also mention next week, Friday, I'm out. I'm gone. So we'll have if it works for Cody, we'll have Final Takes next week on Thursday. And hopefully I'm going to come back with a big, well, I won't have it by then, but I'll have it at the processor, a big Axis Euro mount, right? And so we're going to get that done. To everybody going out, I saw Jay Ward saying he's going to get out and do some hunting tonight, man. Best of luck to you, brother. Let us know if you get anything, if you get that doe before the rut kicks off. Certainly love to see it. If you guys have anything you'd like to get with me about, email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Oh, my favorite national park is, of course, Yellowstone National Park, where I went for my first time ever whitewater rafting. Have you been?
Nice. Nope. Have not been.
It's crazy, man. You got a guy at the very front of the raft that like you're looking forward, and he's kind of like up there at the front, and he's always guiding you. He's like left, and you got to like jump over on all these.
Does he have like a big stick? He's like shoving off rocks
like
and
you gotta
stuff.
jump over to the side and like all get on the left. He's like right. You can go. Everybody jumps, and you feel like you're gonna splash into the water. It's fun as hell, man. It's definitely fun.
That's
So
cool.
do you have a favorite national park?
I think the only one I've been to is Big Bend. So I would say Big Bend.
It's a great favorite to have. Look, national parks are fun as hell. Football with friends is fun as hell. For Blake,